Secretary of State Mike Pompeo is calling on the young democracies of Central and Eastern Europe to embrace their hard-won freedoms. In a speech to the Czech Senate, he acknowledged threats to those freedoms from Russia, China, and others. America's top diplomat thanked the Czech Prime Minister for the country's military cooperation with NATO. He also denounced the post-election violence and repression in Belarus. Taking particularly hard aim, he said the Chinese regime is an even bigger threat to democracy than Russia.
Today, an even greater threat is the threat posed by the Chinese Communist Party and its campaigns of coercion and control.
Pompeo also touched on the Chinese regime's human rights violations. As examples, he named the communist regime's hard grip on Hong Kong, its attempt to dominate the South China Sea, and the detention of about 1 million Uyghur Muslims in internment camps in Xinjiang. He said Huawei plays a big role in China's oppression.
This is the human rights stain of the century, sustained by companies like Huawei using technology that secret police could only have dreamed up in times gone by.
Pompeo said the CCP is already involved in U.S. and European economies, its politics and society, in ways the Soviet Union never was. He added that the CCP targeted Czech politicians and security forces with influence campaigns, thieved industrial data from the Czech Republic, and suppressed freedom in the country using its economic leverage. But he said freedom will win in the end.
China's world dominance is not inevitable. We're the authors of our fate. Free societies have always been more attractive. Your people know this. Our people do too.
Pompeo told lawmakers in the former Soviet country they should resist the Chinese regime's attempts to claim economic and political leverage. Reflecting on several recent cases in which the Chinese regime threatened Czech officials with retaliation when the country showed support for Taiwan, Tibet, and Hong Kong. His speech comes as part of a tour of the region, focused on concerns about European energy dependence on Russia and about security in advanced Chinese-owned telecommunications networks.
In his speech in the Czech Republic, Secretary of State Mike Pompeo said confronting the challenge of the CCP requires more than that against the former Soviet Union. And he called on other countries to speak clearly to their people without fear and to take on that challenge.
That's because the CCP has already enmeshed in our economies, in our politics, in our societies in ways the Soviet Union never was. And Beijing is not likely to change course in the near future, although one lives in hope. No one thought the Berlin Wall would fall. Both parties in Washington agree on very little, but on this, we all know what we're up against. You know, I spend a great deal of time talking to members of both of our political parties. The tide has turned, just as I see it turning here in Europe as well. The West is winning. Don't let anybody tell you about the decline of the West. That is false. That is their narrative. I've heard the same observations from political leaders across the spectrum, most recently in London. Those meetings reminded me that there are plenty of European leaders eager to lean into freedom. We have the obligation to speak clearly and plainly to our people, and without fear. We must confront the complex questions presented by this challenge, and we must do so together.